Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Wise Tips. Eduardo, how are you?
Happy to be here again and more tricks for our
Yeah,
users.
more tips and tricks. So, this is going to be continuing our series on small things you can do that are going to save you the most amount of time. And this is going to conclude our little mini part of this series, which is specifically focusing on charge entry or procedure reminder entry. We've been talking about the different tools that we have available for our users and the benefits and how each one of those really helps. And this one is going to wrap that up with our for the last feature here. And there's going to be a couple caveats here about this feature that
Mhm.
why it only is really useful for a particular workflow here, which I'll let Eduardo start talking about as I get things pulled up for us.
Yes. Well, it's the last one that we are using and talking about in our series, yet is the first one that users tend to go to when
Well, it was
they're
also the first one way back
learning the system.
when.
Yes. So probably we're gonna find a way to say better what it is in the future so we can clarify. But here, the reason here today, it's about this button that we call the add charges today. The it was the very first one, so probably it's named like that still. But the idea here, if you don't have impact and if you don't think about packages, I think you should avoid this button.
I
It's
agree.
a powerful tool if
Yeah.
you are trying to show your invoice with one item only, yet being able to cascade nested items so you can have an inventory control. Um, Castration is a good example.
Yeah.
Antibiotic sedations and all the different, charges that
Yes.
could come along with that. You can
Surgeries.
hide everything through this tool here. There are
Yes.
some other things we're going to be talking about, but this would be just my opening statement.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great because I've and like we mentioned before, probably we're gonna think of a different name for this one here, but this is you see ad charges and many users go right to this button and they almost like stay there sometimes. But yeah, to reiterate what Eduardo said, unless you have the impact package and that you are actively wanting to create your own packages on the fly, as we're gonna show here. We'd recommend one of those other three tools that we've been talking about here. Go watch the other wise tips. But if you do have the impact package and packages sound like something you would like to be able to create on the fly, then stay around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rachel, one thing that comes to my mind is surgeries. Sometimes they
Yeah.
start with a big item, and then under that item, they start collapsing and creating
And look,
subdivisions of things done during the procedure. That possibly could be. But the very first thing that I would like to show, it's exactly how to starting your package and adding charges through the package on the fly. It's exactly the opportunity. I don't think many people take advantage of this one, where it's a mini collection. You can create groups of tasks.
yes. Yep. And that's for our task groups. So this probably what would be really helpful. I've got a couple task groups here, but probably what would be very helpful, like again, with in mind that this is designed to help you create packages on the fly. Well, then I would have my most common items, right? I'd be creating packages for surgeries might be one, certain procedures might be another, just different, surgical packages or supplies might be another one, and just have those there and ready and easy to find.
Yes. And through this screen, you can also enjoy other conveniences, because here's where the
Yes.
place where you're going to find, base unit containers. If you still, of course, utilizing impact, you can have your default quantities, your structure for the entire different container sizes, container measurements will be there available for you to pick from.
Yep.
So, like I'm saying, it's powerful, but it can bring a lot of clicks. It's trying
Yes.
to bring all the
If you're
options, all the opportunities for you to narrow down what you're trying to do. Yet, you can customize a lot of your things, but be mindful about the number of clicks and keystrokes. That's why we
yes.
try to avoid it firsthand.
Yes. Again, unless you are wanting to create your own packages, in which case stick around. Because then I'm going to go ahead and we're actually going to go ahead and do that. So coming over to this next screen here is actually where the magic happens, right? And we can actually come in and actually go ahead and add and create this package. So this one's actually kind of a good example. It's a little bit of an odd example I have here thrown together, apparently. So under my colic surgery, I do have some sedation already built in here, which I can of course select and make my selections here. However, below that option here, I actually have, you'll notice here at the bottom of the screen, both at the bottom left and right corner, I've got my options here to use my digital circle sheets down here at the bottom left. And then down at the bottom right, I've got the option here to use my task finder here through that add button. And also, of course, I can use my macros there too.
One secret you only have to keep in mind is that before using those buttons on the bottom, select the item you want to be the parent of those new items, and they're going to be entered as a children items.
Yes.
And so then, first select the top one, and after selecting the top one, you use those buttons. And the one that you point on the top, the items you add will be nested under the selected one.
Yes. So I just added those to a colic exam and some LRS right here to my parent item, the colic surgery. So it added those there below as nested items. However, if I would have selected the item sedation, it would have added it underneath the sedation item and as little siblings of these ones here.
Siblings. Yes. Good point.
Yes.
Now, go ahead. I'll let you.
I was going to say, and then additionally there, not only can you add things, right, but then as Eduardo was saying before, you can control how these, right, users that utilize packages know, right, these sub items, you can actually control how those work into the calculations and how those actually show on the invoice for the customer.
Yes,
so these checkboxes here,
those checkboxes, if you could zoom in a little bit, those checkboxes is the place in the moment when you can precisely determine what's going to show. If you want to just show the description, but you don't want to show the price. Sometimes you add items that are included in the top parent one. So you say decrease from the parent. Other items you can say this is not included in the top parent package price. So when you select one, it's going to add up or sum to the top one that you see over there. I can see that you picked a very expensive item there. So
I did. Well, this is not even correct, but yes. Depending what you state you're in and a couple other things, yes.
Yeah, but those check boxes is it's where you can customize. Some facilities will say, okay, I don't want to overwhelm the customer, not necessarily hide information, but if it is included in the package, if you sold the entire bundle, it's more for your control. Sometimes you can utilize this for commission calculation. You can split in different situations among your peers that are, other partners, different sections of what's being done. So there's so many things that are possible here. The point is that, yes, indeed, it's a very flexible and very powerful tool. The only thing that we are very concerned it's about using this for regular charges. And then, wow, this is
not doing this, not doing what we just stated and just, click add and then click save down here. And that's all you did. If that's all you did, this is not the right tool you should be using.
Yes. I like the way you put it. It's very, very clever. But, it's one of the tools that you need to be, aware of the presence of there. Sometimes I also notice that people use the packages, preset packages that come with task links and in the impact module, and they make the selection and they build everything. Well, guess what? I forgot to check something. Well, doesn't mean you have to start over from scratch. You could open this tool just by clicking on the little edit button. And maybe we should do this, Rachel. If we just save,
I just save
this
it and then I'll
item now, after using the add charge, will be present in the invoice. One thing that I like, look, that's perfect because it's only the top one that is showing. But before you go there, if you would please, let's close that one. And what I'd like to show, it's that plus we have on the one on the top. Yes. And that plus, that little plus, it will expand the entire thing so you can see the entire tree right on the invoice. So that's how powerful it is. And now going to the edit button. Well, I use a task link, I use the package, but I forgot to check something. Not a problem. You come here, you select the parent, go to the bottom, pick that one, and you can add the item.
Yeah. Another thing I actually just thought about this. Another thing that I quite like a lot is when you come in here, I'll add something different here, and I come in on this item. When you come and you add this, you can actually, so of course I have a prescribe by and a perform by, right, for this procedure, which is assigned then automatically to all these procedures I selected. But maybe you want to change the prescribe by or the perform by for one of these particular sub items. You can actually click the little pencil button here at the very end of that particular item's line, and you can change the prescribe by or perform by just for that particular line item.
Wow.
So very important for the users on commission, and obviously for correct medical records too.
True. So again, in my opinion, it's a lot of clicks, but the flexibility is there when you have complex things, and
yes,
could be powerful at used at the certain moment, certain time. You know, it's something that we need to make our users aware of.
Absolutely. Yes. And this is a good one because it showcases the right, how, like we always say, right, wise option is a toolbox at the end of the day. But as sometimes my dad would like to remind me, right, just because you can hammer in a nail to the wall with like a screwdriver doesn't mean you probably should. So although it works, I will say it works. I've hung a lot of pictures like that. You can say the same thing about utilizing, right, some of these features and how to add things. Yes. Does it achieve what you want? Yes. Is it probably the best tool for the job? Maybe not, depending on what you wanted. And the hallmark, right, is how many clicks did it take you to do that?
Yes.
Right. And so that's what we're trying to do.
And by through the wise tips, that's our intention. It's to give you guys, you know, the possibilities so you can pick the right tool for the right moment. Very well put. I love it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for joining us, and stick around here for the next one coming up here soon about, again, small things you can do that make the most to save you the most amount of time.
See you next time.